welcome back to the channel. In this series, we are comparing Stanley to Nielsen. Now, if you know anything about those two brands, you know that they are very similar. So we're going to take a deep dive into their specs, compare them side by side, see what Nielsen changed, and maybe talk about why. Stick with us. Welcome back. This is video number 6 in the series, and in this one we are going to be looking at the Stanley 97 and the Nielsen 97.5. Now, Stanley did not make a smaller size, Nielsen did. Nielsen also did make a bigger size, but that one's discontinued. So I'm still continuing with the review because I see this change as an improvement. Making it a smaller size to me is an improvement because this is supposed to be like a detail plane. Getting into corners, trimming dowels, that kind of stuff. So them making it smaller is a good thing. Now, if you have the full size Nielsen number 97 and you use it, let me know down below. If you've tried it versus the 97.5, let me know also. Let me know what you think. I'm just not going to try to hunt down Nielsen 97 because, again, they're discontinued and expensive. So, obviously, right off the bat, what you see, Nielsen made it out of bronze, where Stanley made it out of cast. On that note, I'm not going to use these side by side. I know that's becoming a trend in this, but Stanley has some flaws, and this one has a flaw where it tends to break, and I'll show you guys that when we take them apart. But that's not why I'm going to use them. That's why I'm not going to use them. So, the Stanley is 1 pound heavier. It is also 3¼ inches longer, and it is ½ an inch wider than the Nielsen. Now, some of the other changes that are pretty standard throughout these, I guess I can show you the caps. I always forget the caps. Not many changes there. Still the same concept, just a smaller size. So the irons. Nielsen, they upgraded them to A2 and they make them thicker. So Nielsen irons are almost always a 1/16 of an inch thicker than the Stanleys. The other thing they did is they added this circle right here, which I like because when you get to the Stanley, it likes to hook on that screw, so you kind of have to tilt it sideways to take it off. So here are the irons. The other note is with the adjuster. So you see that Stanley has all of these notches here. Nielsen only needs one. That's because when you look at the bodies of the planes, Nielsen, it rests on this, where Stanley, it rests on this nib. So as you advance the iron, this gets weaker and weaker because it gets less and less support. So Stanley needed to have more of these nibs, so as you use up the iron, you don't have to extend this as far. Nielsen's doesn't have that issue. You can extend it all the way, and it's fully supported in there. So they upgraded the depth adjustment mechanism. This is another thing that tends to break on Stanley planes. This nib will go away, and then this wheel gets bent, so this has a lot of issues, and Nielsen obviously upgraded that. The other thing they did was they added more support. So right in here, they added more support. The Stanley's only rests on this piece, not even like down here. It just rests on this. So it has this, the sides, and the mouth, where Nielsen has this whole back piece, the sides, and the mouth. Now, what I thought was interesting, let me line these up. They made this a lot smaller, narrower, thinner, but the mouths are still the same. You'd think if they made it smaller, they would only need a smaller mouth. No, they recognize that it needs that much support. Because on the Stanleys, and this is why I'm not going to use it, the mouth breaks. So they saw that and said, nope, we need to keep a bigger mouth on this and give it more support so it doesn't chip out like the Stanleys does. So I like that they made that change, but here are the bodies side by side. So this is probably going to be the simplest and the easiest review that I do in the entire series. Now, even though it was a short video, they still made a lot of improvements, so I hope you guys caught on to that. They made it smaller, which in my opinion is the best improvement that they could have made because it's made for detail work. Now, again, if you have the full-size Nielsen and you use it, let me know down below. Let us know what you use it for because I don't plan on ever getting one. So I want to know if do I need one? They made it out of bronze. They upgraded the iron type to A2. They made the iron thicker. They made the depth adjust a lot better. And then increased the support for the iron. So They sound like simple changes, but they really do make a big difference when it comes to this plane. If you guys don't have a Nielsen 97.5, I do recommend it. I think Veritas makes one as well, but I haven't tried that one. They just come in handy to have around the shop. Cleaning up glue lines, getting into corners, trimming dowels, that kind of stuff. As always, I am doing that buy me a coffee thing. Check it out in the link below, and like and subscribe. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.